Welcome back to the Radio Horror YouTube channel. This time we're talking about a sci-fi fantasy film. It's not a horror movie. Called Synchronic, starring the Falcon and Winter Soldier and future Captain America star of Captain America 4, Anthony Mackie, in Synchronic on Netflix. And it is a movie theater level film on Netflix, FYI. Katie, the blonde in front of fear, is here to talk to us about Synchronic.
Hey, creeps. Yes, I'm here to talk to you about Synchronic, which is now on Netflix. One of my favorite films of the festival circuit last year, which I was only able to, in theater, go to one festival, which is Panic Fest. Hey. I got to see this on the big screen there in February, and I'm very, very glad January. And I'm very, very glad that I did. It is directed by Justin Benson and Aaron Moorhead and written by Justin Benson. You may know them from their films Spring, The Endless, and Revolution. And it stars Anthony Mackie as Steve, Jamie Dornan as Dennis, Cati Aselton as Tara, and Allie Ionitis, I may be butchering that, I apologize, as Brianna. Now, this film is about two New Orleans paramedics whose lives are ripped apart after they encounter a series of horrific deaths and medical encounters linked to a designer drug with bizarre and otherworldly effects. Anthony Mackie and Jamie Dornan play Steve and Dennis, who are living in New Orleans. They come across some weird stuff on their travels, on their excursions as paramedics. One guy has a gaping chest wound, as Jamie Dornan says, and it turns out that he's had a knife that goes from one end of him to the other. Went through him. So basically that they're looking for a 10-inch knife or 12-inch knife that went through him, which is basically a sword. It's basically a sword, which you don't normally find in New Orleans for these college kids. And one of the things is that all these things have in common is a drug called Synchronic. They go to 5 different locations. One person is completely burned to death, just to a crisp, and there's nothing that's charred around them. One person has a snake bite from a snake that hasn't been in New Orleans area in a hotel, and they're in a hotel room, and they haven't had that in a number of 50 or 5 decades, so they don't understand how that happens. What this film is about, I don't know if I should spoil it or not. Should I spoil it, Chris?
No, I mean, you kind of have to in a review. We'll just put the spoiler banner thing in a picture right at the beginning. And just pause real quick so I know how to edit all this out. Spoiler! Spoiler! Spoiler!
The film, it turns out, which is one of the reasons why I like it so much, is a completely different concept on, lo and behold, spoiler again, on time travel. Now, one of the things that the film from the get-go lets you know is the major racial tensions in New Orleans. At one point when Anthony Mackie is working on someone who's had a heroin overdose, there's a cop who has his gun pulled out and to his head. And he says to Mackie, because he's not in his paramedic's uniform, it's like, well, if you dress like Tupac, that's what you get. Wow, buddy. Wow. When you go into the time travel, it says a lot about the racial injustice and just the bullshit going on that happened, that's, going on through generations in New Orleans. One of the things I love most about the film, though, is that with most films about time travel, there's always this romantic notion, going back and seeing this and doing all these things. This film takes the romanticism out of time travel. And as Anthony Mackie even says, the freaking past sucked. And you know what? As a female, I can say, yeah, there's not a lot of times in the past that would have been great for me. If I had gone back into, if I went back to Salem in the 1692 or so, I'd probably be considered a witch. I'd probably be considered a witch in the 1800s. Who knows? One of the things about this synchronic drug that everyone experiences is that when you go back in time, it's not just from taking this drug, it's where you are when you take the drug. You could be 5 feet from where you took it in one instance, and you're going to go to a completely different area in time. Like Mackie is able to, or Steve, played by Anthony Mackie, is able to use a drug because he has something, a major or a rare form of cancer in his hypothalamus that is very rare. And also the way the hypothalamus is only in kids that are in like, their early 20s or late teens. If you have this, you're able to use a drug and go back in time. Because he has this rare form of cancer, he's able to do this and does different experiments, which I think for Justin Benson to write it like that is brilliant. Because again, it's not like you're just going back. You're going back in specific areas in these specific places. And if you don't come back in 7 minutes, then you're going to be stuck there. I think that the cinematography Aaron Moorhead did is absolutely beautiful. And I also like the editing that Moorhead did as well. I think that the one fault I would have to say, though, is I never believed Jamie Dornan as a paramedic, as Dennis. I also didn't really believe the relationship that he had with Cati Hazelton as husband and wife, but that's also sort of the thing with going back in time. You sort of forget certain areas of your life and, again, romanticize them rather than seeing them for what they are. Like, they're a married couple, and at one point in the film, their daughter disappears because, lo and behold, maybe she's taken that synchronic drug and they don't know what's going on. Their world falls apart, but they also have a baby that, for some reason, I don't know. I don't know if the baby just like is given to somebody, but suddenly the baby just like disappears, and it's sort of just a weird dynamic between the two of them. And I didn't, whenever Jamie was like working on different people in the different scenes, I didn't really believe it. But Anthony Mackie, I honestly think this is one of his finest performances. I thought he was brilliant. I loved the anger that he portrayed when he's going back at different times. I loved the confusion and trying to figure out what is going on. And one of the things about directors Benson and Moorhead is that they usually have some sort of interesting construct of time that is a major factor in their films. This is taking that time travel subgenre and turning it on its head. And that is very hard to do. And one of the things that I don't know if everyone remembers this, but I most certainly do. This actually was released by the studios, or by the studio that owned it, in October. Moorhead, Benson, and their producer, David Lawson, put on their social media accounts asking people not to go to the theater to watch it. That is a bold, bold move, especially for 2020, as one who is about to become a new father and everyone who is concerned about the safety of their fellow Americans and everyone out there. They did not want to have people to take that risk to go see their film. And that, I mean, that's honestly unheard of. I think that they would put, their fellow human first before Hollywood. And I think that is a huge testament to them. Look, I dig this film. I dug the whole time travel. I love the music. I think the music is exhilarating and perfect and really, really trippy. Again, I think Anthony Mackie is fantastic. And yeah, the past isn't always great. I think of anything last year, there's so many things that have come out, even in this country, that people didn't know about, that really are, make you open your eyes about what happened in the past. And many, many ways, we still need to change it. And I highly recommend this movie and say you should see it on Netflix, because I know it was in their top 10 last week, and it may be in the top 10 now. I'm not sure, but it's definitely streaming on Netflix, so I would watch it.
I highly recommend this movie. I will watch pretty much anything Anthony Mackie is in. I've been hooked on him since Abraham Lincoln Vampire Hunter, and obviously fell in love with him as Sam Wilson Falcon, now Captain Frickin' America, or Falcon Cap, as he is nicknamed in the comics. So I will watch anything else that he does. I'm glad to see him stepping outside the Marvel Cinematic Universe for a change. He doesn't get to do that too often, obviously, because of the huge responsibility of wearing the Stars and Stripes is going to be on his shoulders soon. But this movie was absolutely fantastic. Doing time travel like this, I think, is not that hard. It is very easy to do, kind of like a now you're in the new scene or whatever, and like a cabin where you just were. I've seen like short independent time travel movies done to the same effect, where just in a blink you're in a new setting doing exactly what you were just doing, and you're like, what is going on? It's so cool how they do that. I absolutely love it. Cheap time travel tricks for independent movies is what I like to call it. Check out this film on Netflix. Check out the rest of the reviews here on the Radio Horror YouTube channel, and check out Cati as well on her social media page. And we'll be back in a few weeks with another exciting review from Cati the Blonde in Front of Fear.